Alright guys, this is my INFM 685 VT Block 3, giving the third assignment by Dr. Vikraman Bhaskaran. And this assignment actually talks more on the question goes, you've been appointed as a business analyst to help my healthcare hospital to improve the existing inpatient prescription process. Feature record your recommendation and what models you use for elicitation, analysis, and specification. First thing I talked about is as a business analyst, my focus should definitely be beginning with defining a problem and highlighting an area for improvement, such as operating cost. At this point, analysts working within a group's settings may be divided into teams and break down the situation into manageable components, like minimizing the staff overtime wages or reducing supply cost. Analysts can conduct research and gather data. For example, healthcare business analysts who seek to decrease supply costs might be able to call vendors to negotiate bulk purchases, which can be distributed among various sites. So, my healthcare hospital needs to improve the existing inpatient prescription process to ensure they get quality patient care, which is adequately being administered at the facility. I kind of shed more light on the user requirements using three modules for recommendation. Firstly, I recommend the elicitation model because a lot of business requirements are not documented anywhere. So this is because most of the information and business requirements kind of resides in the stakeholders' mindset. So, and a lot of feedbacks, surveys, and questionnaires are still yet to be acquired from end users. Coupled with the fact that flow charts needs to be drawn to clearly understand the process of how this actually works. So, elicitation helps to comprehensively recognize business needs, hazards, and expectations associated with the available project, which is why elicitation has to be done because adequate study and preparation for elicitation can go a long way to preventing such errors. Um, my first step will be having a comprehensive understanding about how the existing inpatient prescription works and the needs, as well as select the right stakeholder and elicitation techniques. Secondly, I will engage requirements with meeting up with a team of stakeholders such as the customer end users, the project manager, the project sponsors, the domain subject matter, and implementation subject matter. I'll have like a lot of series of meetings with them, with each one of them, to ensure adequate participation, and the techniques I'll use will actually involve brainstorming, you know, documenting analysis being given, a focus group, interface analysis, interviews, surveys, observation, and requirement workshop pretty much. An example will be the implementation structure of having to improve the existing inpatient prescription by narrowing back on what needs to be added, and the analysis to meet up the goals of ensuring that a great prescription process is being met. The second one I'll actually recommend using the analysis as a business analyst um, will be like the analysis. And how do I come to place with this is I feel like this is like the most important part of my job as a business analyst. I should be able to interpret the actual needs of the stakeholders. I need to actually know what exactly the stakeholders want, um, their user requirements, what exactly how to meet up with their requirement, and this will actually enable me to communicate um, with the stakeholders in a way that they understand. And in this kind of communication, what I'll be using as a business analyst will be more of a charts, flow charts, models, or complex text. So the flow chart and the models will actually be more like a diagrammatic representation of how it's going to look like. This way I can actually pull it to them in a diagram pattern which shows them how I want it to look like, and it kind of gives them a lay down of how this is going to be put in place. So it always has a specific goal, like the input, the output, the resources, and the number of activities. The techniques that are actually used for mapping out the business workflow, and some of the analyzing techniques involved business process modeling notation, the unified modeling language, which is the UML, the flowchart technique, the data flow diagram, and role activity diagram. An example will illustrate a diagram that shows the flow at which healthcare professional communicates and work hand in hand to ensure improvement in prescription processes. The last part is more of a specification model. So as a business analyst, I'll specify the functional requirements for the project. These requirement specifications might also be referred to as software requirements, technical requirements, or system requirements. So the functional requirements identify what the system does. So it actually what exactly is the system going to do? How will it be able to actually meet up with your expectations? How it functions. This is how the system functions. We actually have to get like a big capacity. If it's like a Windows, we try to use like XP. We try to use like something very scalable, so that you don't want the healthcare professionals trying to use the workstation, and the workstation is actually, you know, not being productive as it's supposed to be. So we need to be careful to actually take measures on the technical requirements being needed, and so identify what the system does, how it functions, and typically these are actually written at the level of what a given user can get the system to do. So you will see that this actually comes hand in hand. The business and technical requirements will actually work out with what the user earned with the surveys. They kind of actually give the information they need, and then they can actually use that as a requirement for what they need. The functional requirements can be captured in a wide variety of requirement deliverables. In this path, the use cases are a very common way to capture functional requirements. An example will be a use case diagram showing how a physician will have use cases as actors, and how will have use cases. The use cases will actually be the requirements of he or she, maybe doing prescriptions, administering orders and medications, and they will be the actors, and how he or she prescribes the medication, and how the diagram will clearly explain the processes of how this works. Thank you.